Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
Hey, everyone in, let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3. Huddle up.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around. This is your game now, gentlemen.
Two minutes to go, and a puck up Dan Holtby watching a bad bounce out of the corner, and a shot and a save made by Braden Holtby. Oh my! As Alex Tuck was robbed on a puck that came bouncing out of the corner, and Washington by a whisker. Still on top with 1:59 to go. My goodness, Braden Holtby.
Off the face-off, the Capitals have won it. The capital of the country is the capital of the hockey playoffs.
Many doubted we'd ever see it. But here it is. The return to glory.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
We did it our way, baby! We did it! We did it! We did it!
Welcome, everyone. Huddle Up Podcast. We are live on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and on our Twitter as well. We're glad you can join us. If you're following along with us in the live video, give it a like, give it a share. We'd appreciate that. And spend some time talking some sports here on a Tuesday night. We hope you're having a good week so far. We got tons to talk about, including one conference returns and one division is a dumpster fire. But make sure you're following us on our social media and subscribe to us on all of our podcast feeds. Make sure you're also following our home network, NGSC Sports, at ngscsports.com. And check us out on Leib Sports every day at leeibsports.com. And we got Sean back with us this week, as always. Sean, how we doing?
Oh, just soaking up some sunshine down here in the Sunshine State. I understand it's getting a little colder up north. Not so much here, but it's getting a little abysmal down here with the Titletown talk. But I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. Just glad to be back for another week.
Yeah, no doubt. And Matt back with us. Matt, how you doing? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I am going to make a request. I'm sure Sean can kind of back me on this, but as your show here grows and the fandom kind of spreads, could we get like maybe the Harry Callis 0-2 pitch swing and a miss on the intro, or Chris Collinsworth or Collinsworth going when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, something like that?
I would settle for that.
Well, we have a no Collinsworth policy, but I can look into a Harry Callis. That's for sure. I hear enough of Chris Collinsworth in my life. I don't need extra on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah, now there's two of them. How lucky are we?
Yeah. What was that? The Sunday night football game in Seattle when it was Jack talking to Chris, and I was just like, Alexa, what does hell look like? Because they sound exactly alike, which is just
it's awful,
ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing ever. It shouldn't be a thing. Tyler here says that Doc Emmerich retiring is going to suck. Yeah, it absolutely is. A legendary voice, but of course the long career of Doc Emmerich. So we wish him the best in his retirement. And we will try and we'll find out who is going to be the lead, the replacement lead on the main broadcast there on NBC, and then who gets the supplemental one as well. So it'll be interesting to see what NBC does on that one. So again, if you're following along with us, live video wherever you're watching, whatever, if it's Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, share the link, get as many people in here, interact with us. And guys, we'll jump into it here. Obviously, the Big Ten rejoining the college football action this weekend, and they will play an 8-game conference only schedule. They will have a Big Ten championship, also Big Ten championship weekend. All the teams that do not make the Big Ten title game will play kind of a, like, I don't know if it's, I forget if it's like best worst, or how they're going to do it, but the rest, they will have each team will have a championship week game, I guess, to get that extra one in for practice sake and whatnot. But you look at the East Division: Indiana, Maryland, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, and Rutgers. Of course, the West Division: Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Purdue, and Wisconsin. They will, as normal, be the East versus West in the championship game. Yeah, Tyler, I don't think you have to worry about Pierre McGuire replacing Doc Emmerich, because Pierre never does play-by-play. So you would look to a play-by-play guy. Eddie O is color as well. So I don't think you have any worry there about Pierre replacing Doc. So you can rest easy tonight, Tyler. So the question I put out there, pretty much was simply, as the Big Ten gets underway this weekend, who do you think will win the Big Ten championship, and who will play for the Big Ten championship? And we can dive into it here. For me, I at this point, and this is obviously going off of no games. We don't have any non-conference games or anything like that would give us any idea. Until somebody proves to me otherwise, Ohio State is going to be the king of the king of the East Division, and really it's going to come down to Wisconsin and Minnesota in the West. And I'll give a shout out to my buddy Frank, because last year on this show he had predicted Minnesota was going to go undefeated. They fell one game short of that, which was pretty impressive in and of itself. So for my buddy Frank from college, I'll give the Minnesota Golden Gophers the victory in the West Division to take on Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, and Ohio State probably going to still win the Big Ten until I get proven otherwise. I've been burned too many other years picking other teams, so I'll go with the easy layup on this one, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those, when you look at who's going to come out of the other conference, the other half of the conference, I should say, is always just kind of the wild card pick there. I think to not take Ohio State would be pretty gutsy here. I mean, there's some other fun teams. I mean, obviously, back home where you guys are, Penn State's always a fun flair play, and you always have the kind of big three there. And beyond that, I don't see any reason to not take Ohio State. I guess if they're in a short season, I mean, it's conference play though, so one loss hurts you as much as any other year. I guess you're kind of playing within the conference anyway. So yeah, I'll take Ohio State. I don't really care who comes out of the other side. I don't see them being a massive threat to a Big Ten title. I don't see anyone on that side to really challenge whoever comes out of that. If it's Penn State or Michigan, Godspeed. But I see Ohio State pretty much just running away with the Big Ten the way it's set up.
Sure, Matt. How about you?
Yeah, I think Ohio State has the most talent, and I'm not just saying that because I would never pick Penn State or Michigan to win that. I think they truly are the best team coming out of there. I guess we'll see pretty early. Penn State, Ohio State is what, week 2 or something?
Yeah, I think so. Week 2 or week 3, yeah.
So we'll know pretty soon who's going to come out of the Big Ten, because I think that's probably going to be the deciding game for the East. In the West, we'll just give it to Minnesota just so that state has some form of football that they can cheer for, since The Vikings certainly aren't going to do that for them this season, with Kirk Cousins doing his thing already pretty early on in the season. So we'll go Ohio State, Minnesota, but again, I think we're all unanimous. We're unanimous there that it's got to be Ohio State coming out of the Big Ten, and I don't think it'll be close.
Yeah,
and I think you hit it with Minnesota. I was going to kind of chime back in, and it's kind of interesting. For a long time, Wisconsin was kind of that go-to in the West. Kind of that dominant force, and they very well could be. I mean, if they find a way to get that running game going again and play defense with whatever fill-in players they have for the guys that left, they got a shot. And I think obviously Nebraska years ago was the pick, no longer out there in the Midwest. But Minnesota to me looks like, as far as the West goes, the cream of the crop. And if they get hot and maybe someone other than Ohio State sneaks in, who knows? But yeah, I'm glad to see we're unanimous pretty much on that.
Yeah, we had a couple of Penn Staters on the comment on the Facebook page. One we are response, and then
that sucks.
Clever.
Yeah.
It stinks.
And then Andrew said Penn State versus Wisconsin. Penn State takes the conference title. Though honestly, the de facto title game is week 2 between Penn State and Ohio State. Yeah, and you can't fault Penn Staters for having high hopes, but
know that all too well.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, really, and I'm not just trying to crap on Penn State, even though it is a fun pastime of mine. But you're really, if you look back over the Penn State Ohio State rivalry, Penn State has had some upsets in that game at State College during the whiteout at night, and that's what this year was going to be. It was going to be that night game again, but you're taking out the majority of the impact of the Penn State fan base, because there's not going to be. I haven't looked into whether or not like students and parents are allowed, but it's not going to be the 106,000 or whatever Beaver Stadium holds nowadays. It's not going to be the same as Penn State fans know it to be, and it's not going to have the same impact, I don't think. So really, that's the great equalizer for Ohio State, and unfortunately for Penn, I don't see how they're going to be able to pull that off. I really don't.
Yeah, and you kind of got two forces working on the opposite side of the coin. I mean, if you're looking at the Penn State hope, like you said, in the scenario that we're in this year. When Ohio State in those games against Penn State, like you said, that fan base plays a lot of part into it. And in college football in general, I think you're going to see that kind of change. I know there are fans and there's someone to play in front of, but those high profile, high talent teams that do get upset on road games in big game, in big crowded stadiums, it kind of plays out more where like the talent just takes over the game. There's a lot less interference in that taking place. So beyond a few bad bounces of a ball or somebody, running into I guess we'll call them a red hot Louisville team, that kind of scenario. I don't know what that was, but a situation like that happens against
a W. God damn it. It was a W. That's the important part is we won that game and it can't hurt us anymore.
Right. It can't hurt us anymore. But the one pro in that one is that it was Louisville. You run into a, scenario like that in a state college, or in Ann Arbor, those teams are a little better and might be able to capitalize a little faster and a little harder. So that's the one scenario that might not work. But for the most part, Ohio State's going to run. On the other side of that, the pro that Penn State has is you're getting them essentially in week 2. Because of the shortened schedule, there is no get the motor running, get the tires turning, find some traction, and get that machine moving at a high speed. If Ohio State, for some reason, injury or two happens in week 1 in key positions, or they for some reason look a little lost but find a way to win, you could run into a scenario where if you can get your juices going a little sooner than Ohio State can, then you may get to catch them by surprise. But so you have that. I mean, if you're a Penn State fan, that's as close to hope as I'm gonna throw at you, is that you're getting them at the right point in the schedule. I think, because I think the later in the year it gets with that machine rolling, the harder it's going to be to stop it.
Sure, no doubt. Matt, any other thoughts?
Penn State sucks. That's about it.
I like it.
All right, point well taken. Matt wins the argument.
So we're going to move on to the marquee games of the college football weekend this upcoming week. Of course, the college football slate expanding with the return of the Big Ten. Just recapping, Sean, I went back and recapped our picks against the spread for the year for both college and the NFL, since for various reasons, Dave and Matt not with us every week, so I tabulated ours. In college football, Sean, I was 0-3 last week for a 6-9 overall total on the year. You were 3-0 last week for a 14-1 on the year. That Florida Texas A&M game got you. So
the game where I wanted Texas A&M so bad, but knew too little about them to pick them against Florida, only to find out I knew too little about Florida's defense at the time. But yeah, we'll take a 14-1 spot. Down with that.
Yeah, so I have some catching up to do, but let's get started here. Number 23, North Carolina State. They are 4-1. They traveled to North Carolina, coming off of their road loss at Florida State last week. Boy, woof, didn't see that one coming.
Hi, caramba.
And that just shows you the week to week the college football game just can catch anyone off guard. But they are at number 14. They are a 16.5 point. Home favorite. 63 is the over under this one, noon on ESPN. I'm taking North Carolina in a bounce back spot. If they want any hope to get back in this ACC race, which again will probably continue to be Notre Dame and Clemson until proven otherwise. North Carolina can't afford another loss. So I give them a bounce back, and I'm going to give the over here. If Florida State can put up the points on North Carolina that they did, I'm going to assume that anybody else can. So North Carolina plus the 16.5. They're going to want to come back big. They're going to do it at home in the over.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for you to catch up with me with picks like that, because I'm going to pretty much agree with you on both sides of the coin. I think North Carolina's got to get the machine moving in the right direction, like I talked about before. You got to get it moving. I think that was just one that caught him by surprise, some early mistakes. And they almost came back and took it. I thought for sure the Seminoles were in classic choke mode. I get enough of the golden crimson down here.
You hear all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I get a little more Gators, plenty of USF. They had a ton of support down here, but the Seminoles are around. And I'm not sure why you'd still wear a Seminole jersey at this point, but hey, you know what? Loyalty, I guess. But either way, they bounce back. I think you're right. I think they cruise to this one. I was looking at NC State's kind of track record here, and they beat some okay teams. The trouble that they had is they gave up a lot of points doing it. You win a couple close ones with Pitt and with Wake Forest, which, by the way, if NC State was hoping to surprise Clemson at any point this year, Clemson, Wake Forest is still cleaning their wounds out, and Wake Forest they lost 45-42 to the Wolfpack earlier this year. So I would put the Wolfpack somewhere in there. I think UNC is just a higher class team. I'm also going to take the over with you. I think what I've seen in both their track records, both teams can score a lot of points, and I don't see any reason for that to stop today or this weekend.
Speaking of the team still licking their wounds, I'm pretty sure Clemson just scored 14 more points against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I thought I saw they were driving.
Because that game at one point was 7-7, and it finished 73-7.
It's unreal.
Clemson's punter had more passing yards in that game than Georgia Tech's quarterback.
Their actual team. Yes,
absurd. Matt, UNC and NC State.
I do think this will be a statement game for UNC. Definitely have to kind of prove themselves again now. So I definitely will take them minus the points. I don't know enough about NC State to say that they'll have the offense to keep up with UNC. So for that reason, I'm going to take the under. I see NC winning big, but probably like a 35-14 type deal. Nothing huge. And I could be wrong. NC State could be a gunning team. I just don't know enough to say that.
I'll say no. I'll say they're not.
I'd just like to throw it in there before we leave the ACC just now, and before this weekend starts, if I could request a preemptive moment of silence for Syracuse, we're going to just get it out of the way early because they have a very nasty road matchup against Clemson this weekend, coming in at 1-4. It's not. I mean, 73 was the total against Georgia Tech. I don't know if the scoreboard has enough digits on it for what's going to happen against Syracuse. I hope they installed another set of numbers, put that hundreds place up there. We might see a basketball score out of Clemson.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
That's going to be ugly.
That's not good. That's not good. All right, we continue on here. We go to the Big 12, number 17, Iowa State. They are 3-1. Going to Oklahoma State, ranked number 6. They're 3-0. They're a 3-point home favorite, over under 54. 3:30 on Fox. I have Oklahoma State. I think they're going to cover the 3 again. Speaking to teams and conferences that are holding on to hope. If the Big 12 wants any hope at getting into a playoff, they need Oklahoma State. At this point, they need Oklahoma State to not only win but win big. I think they're going to do that here. It's the Big 12. 54 is not a lot of points when you're talking Big 12 teams. I am definitely taking that over in Oklahoma State to cover.
Oh, yeah. I see no reason for Oklahoma State's train to derail here this week. Iowa State is a talented team, not near talented enough, in my opinion. I think you have a potential Heisman winner in the backfield for Oklahoma State anyway, assuming that all goes to plan for them. But I'm going to take them easily to cover that measly spread. And if you expect me to take the under in a Big 12 game, you have lost your mind. I'm just baffled. The only thing that scares me on taking the over is they've set it at 52. Did you say 52?
54.
All right, I was showing 52. Still, that low 50s mark for a Big 12 game. I don't know if they know something about the weather, if there's going to be tornadoes blowing outside the stadium. I have no idea, but that seems incredibly low. So that scares me a little. Still can't do it. I'm taking the over.
Good choice, Matt.
Yeah, a little worrisome there. If this is kind of the same Iowa State team that we saw last year in the bowls, if Ian Book can put up some passing yards against you, then I don't have much hope for you on defense. So certainly taking the over, and I'm certainly taking Oklahoma State to cover easily.
Yeah, now we move to the Big Ten, our only Big Ten game of the week, because most of the matchups are not two teams in the top 25. I think Ohio State plays Northwestern or something, and Penn State plays Indiana. So no real good games there. But this is the College Game Day game, and this is taking place in a city that had over a foot of snow today, and the high temperature on Saturday. Remember, this stadium outdoors now. The high temperature on Saturday is supposed to be 36. So by the 7:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff time, probably gonna be a little chilly. So welcome back to football. Big Ten. It is number 18 Michigan. They're a 3-point road favorite at number 21 Minnesota. This is your game on ABC. 55 is the over under on this one. And because we don't know anything about either of these teams right now, I'm going to go the safe route in my house, and I'm going to take the Michigan Wolverines to win and cover the 3 points. And I'm actually going to go the under in this one. Just because we don't know about either team with the cold weather. We don't know as of right now. I don't believe there's supposed to be any snow or anything in the forecast, but obviously still a few days away. That could change. So I'm gonna actually take the under on this one.
Well, I did notice yesterday that there were hints that there may be some COVID-related issues for Minnesota. That has yet to be verified, at least from what I've been watching. But there were hints coming out of Minnesota on that. Knowing that, I should go the other way. I'm going to assume because in 24 hours' time we haven't heard anything, that it's not going to necessarily affect anything in the next few days. But pending no COVID, I like Minnesota in this game. I think the weather's going to come into play a little bit. I know if you're going coach for coach, obviously, Michigan kind of a better track record coach-wise, better track record program-wise, but I have no reason to know whether that's going to carry on this year. And I know they come out to some slow starts historically, and I think that's going to happen again. I think you have a few questions in the secondary for Michigan, and I think that Minnesota's going to avoid the downfield pass as much as they can, but it's going to be too tempting. I think you draw them in with the run, you can get them over the top. I like Minnesota to win outright, not just to cover. But I'm going to go with you on the under. I think between the weather and the uncertainty and kind of getting the ball rolling and trying to probably run the ball early, I think they're going to stay under that mark.
Another thing, I don't know if you guys saw this, but apparently Michigan, the University of Michigan is on a 2-week stay in place order for their students because 60% of local cases in the Ann Arbor area are from new COVID cases are from the University of Michigan. Now the football team is still allowed to continue activities and get the season going. I guess, with testing and tracing still taking place. So if anybody would test positive, but just some crazy news out of the state and the University of Michigan today. Matt, Michigan and Minnesota.
Well, you'll never hear me pick Michigan ever. So Minnesota will win. They will win big, and we'll still take the under because Michigan will just score 0 points.
Wow.
If they are that bad.
Damn. Like I said, I'm staying safe in this house. I'm just protecting myself. And then our final college game for the weekend, number 9 Cincinnati. They are 3-0. They travel to number 16 SMU, who are 5-0 and a 2.5 point home favorite in this one. 56.5 is your over under. 9 o'clock on ESPN2. Honestly, I was surprised there was still an ESPN2. I was completely unaware that that was actually still a thing. But I'm going to
have to keep it to sell ESPN3. You can't just have a 1 and a 3.
And you can't get to the Ocho without
exactly. You need the 2 to get there.
They need to bring that back again for another week. I think once baseball's over and we have no idea besides football what sports are going to be there, I think they need to bring the Ocho back.
Bring back the Ocho
because that was fun back at the beginning of quarantine. That was a freaking blast. But I'm going to go Cincinnati here. I think they're the better team. I think the SMU being a 2.5 point favorite is probably because they're at home. So I like Cincinnati to win here, obviously, and I'm going to go the over. I feel like most games in college football are just going to hit the over this year, more especially even than other years with all the players out for COVID and things like that, and practices and different things being off. So Cincinnati to win and obviously cover and the over.
I think you're probably right with the better team being in Cincinnati. The trouble is, not as many games played, not as much to look at on film, a little harder to gauge. And I would have loved if that TCU game for Southern Methodist was on the track record, would have made this a lot easier to pick. However, I do like SMU's track record. I think a win over Memphis, who I thought was going to really challenge for that conference championship, really thought that was a chance for them. Not so much now with how many teams are coming out of here with no losses so far. But coming off that big win, you beat Tulsa. There's a good team there. I kind of like where Southern Methodist is heading. I think it's exciting for college football that they're competitive, and I think they're going to keep the train rolling. I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them in this one with the spread. Let's take the points and run. But I think they're gonna win and cover. And that over under a lot of points scored in this conference. It's kind of the mini Big 12 in my opinion. I don't see any reason to think that they're not going to cover that mid 50s mark.
All right, Matt, how about you?
I think this will be kind of a fun game. I think we will see a lot of scoring here. Neither team really screams defensive juggernaut or really screams anything, honestly. So I'll take the over and I'll take Cincinnati as well. I want to see them just keep climbing, see what they do and where things shake up. Who knows? Potential bowl game for Notre Dame when we eventually get throttled by Clemson, and then, lose to Wake Forest in the last week of the season, because that's something that we'll do.
But don't forget that Boston College game that's looming the week after
Yeah.
Clemson. Thank you, ACC, for scheduling that one. We appreciate that. A couple of NFL stories, guys, before we get to our commercial break and then take the and then hit the games in the NFL. Today, it was announced by the Miami Dolphins that they are on a bye this week. Baltimore, Indy, Miami, Minnesota, all on a bye this week. But coming out of their bye week when they play the Rams, that it'll be Tua as a starting quarterback instead of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And for me, I mean, this was always the end game. When you drafted Tua, if you could get healthy, I think it was evident that this is where the team was going. However, I have to question personally the timing of it. You're coming off of another win. You're 3-3. Fitzpatrick, although I mean his numbers aren't perfect, I think it's like 70% completions. The touchdown to interception ratio is a little off, but I think bulk of those were the first couple of games. You've won a couple in a row. You're one game out of first. I feel like the timing is just off on this. It kind of caught me and everybody off guard. And my question is, I mean, the only action that Tua has seen was in the most garbage of garbage time this past Sunday against the Jets. So I don't really understand what the reasoning is behind this decision. It just kind of caught me off guard. Seemed a little out there to make this switch right now. I'm happy for Tua, obviously coming off the injury that he had, but the timing seems very off on this for me.
Well, yeah, I think I mean it definitely caught me by surprise, especially when you're looking at a Miami Dolphins team that, thanks to a little slide here by the Buffalo Bills, is only a game out of first place in the AFC East. Ryan Fitzpatrick, at least from a fantasy perspective, I've been keeping an eye on him because he's currently sitting like QB 8, I think, in the NFL statistically. Just kind of baffling. He has had multiple touchdown games, and even managed to win one and throw over 300 yards in the only game where he threw no touchdowns. I don't I know it was against the Jets, but you just came off a big shutout there in the division. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I feel like if Ryan Fitzpatrick was struggling, or you had a couple real sloppy wins, I don't know that handing it to a young guy here, are you saying that, like, because you're going to start to hear it, if he starts to lose some games, it's going to look like we tanked this on purpose, try to get him some help with some good picks, which historically the Dolphins have not done anything with. So I just really think it's a strange scenario. I think obviously Tua, like you said, not only is he the end game, I think from a skill perspective, brings a lot more to the table than Fitzpatrick. But what he doesn't bring is experience. He doesn't bring a hot streak behind him or a win streak, and he doesn't have near the beard to compete in the later parts of the season, especially if you're going to go into cold weather. So I really question this choice.
Yeah, I mean, looking at his numbers here, I mean, obviously they're 3 for 3. His completion percentage 70.1, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and like I said, I think a lot of those interceptions were early in the year. He has one of his highest QB ratings. I mean, granted, only 6 games so far, but one of his highest QB ratings of his career. It's his highest completion percentage. Like, it just and then they're coming off of 2 straight wins. You're 1 game out of first. It's just and you got
you have the 10-7 isn't a great number, but he does have touchdowns on the ground. If you take his rushing stat, he adds 2 more touchdowns there, and an additional 135 yards. And that receiving core, I mean, you talk about the Eagles and Cowboys being banged up. I know we've talked about that a lot. The Dolphins early in the season had a ton of injuries at the wide receiver position, and we're really struggling to get guys out there. And at the
it sucks.
You're darn right it does. But I think that he's made it through some struggles, had some up and down situations, and has come through with shining colors. And I just kind of wonder, I guess you were hoping Tua gets to full health and you feel more comfortable. But what was the point of even handing the team to Fitzpatrick in the first place?
Right.
if you're going to hand a one game out of first place team to somebody who's never played an NFL start.
Well, maybe the Dolphins never planned on being one game out of first.
Yeah, they're just like, this was the week. They just picked it ahead of time. They're like, yeah, we'll get him in that time. Just set our Twitter to automatically put that out there. And then they're like, well, we got to go with it now.
And into his first start, he faces Aaron Donald in the Rams defense. So good planning.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have him in 2 leagues.
Good planning on that one. Matt, your thoughts here on Tua time?
I'm actually okay with it. When you look at what the Dolphins are going to do moving forward, like you guys said, obviously Fitzpatrick is not the answer moving forward. So at this point in this season where we don't even know if we're going to see a playoffs, anything can happen as the fall comes on. You want to get Tua some reps. You want to see what he can do before, anything happens. If he keeps winning, he's got a good mentor in Fitzpatrick to learn under as he comes back from any turnovers or anything like that. But you got to see what you have in him before the season ends, so you know what you're doing in the draft. Do you have to build around him, or can you focus on the defense? So I think it's a good plan. It is a little puzzling just because of the status of it, but I also don't think Miami or their fans were planning on being a playoff team this season. So it's not like the fans are going to be like too upset to see them just squeak into the playoffs, get a low draft pick, and then have nothing to build around Tua.
Matt, if you're going to make reasonable points like that, I might not ever bring you back on this show. This is not the show for logical thought and reasoning. So
yeah, I miss Dave.
Yeah, seriously, you gotta.
Don't you dare take that tone with me.
And then the other, not really a story, but this is more like a thought in my mind. Obviously, the past couple of weeks we've had Tuesday night games, we've had Monday night doubleheaders. Last week we missed the Thursday game, and by missed I mean it wasn't there. I didn't actually miss it. So for me, I think I would actually like to see the NFL change their schedule, because I actually enjoyed sitting down to the dinner table on a Monday night and getting an NFL football game before another NFL football game. Not that the later game ever really got started anyway, but that's a whole nother point in and of itself.
I love that game. What are you?
I'm sure you did.
You watching?
I mean, I loved whatever the game was on Sunday with the guys in green. I enjoyed that one probably about as much as you enjoyed the Monday night game. So, yeah, the NFC East is just, it's so embarrassing. It is just so embarrassing. But really, I mean, I would love to see him just double dip Mondays, eliminate Thursdays. It takes away that short week for one team. You have more days off between Monday and Sunday. Then I'd love to see the NFL change the schedule. Not that it's something and Chris agrees with me. Double dip on Monday. Not that it's going to happen, but would you guys like to see them kind of flip the script here?
I mean, Thursday games historically have been bad. And if you'd asked me several years ago, I'd have been like, I mean, from a fantasy perspective, it's a mess. It's so hard to pick. It used to be so hard to take quarterbacks in a Thursday game. You'd be willing to take a running back. And defensively, you're like, do I even start a defense that's playing on Thursday? Because I don't know what's about to hit them. And it was very hard to prepare. And I'd imagine from a game prep perspective in the NFL, it's very similar. You're running limited reps. You got to run some reps the week before, and just kind of quick plan for a actual NFL game where players could get hurt. In the past few years, they've been better. We've seen some shootouts. We've had some good quality games. Some games that I know I was excited about, and it is nice not having to wait all the way till Sunday. Do I think maybe you could push it to Friday? Anything preventing that? I mean, obviously high school football would be like, what are you doing? But I don't have a huge problem with Saturday. Getting an earlier game on Monday is kind of nice, I guess. You got to worry about, what they're going to say with the West Coast. Obviously, you're taking a game out of prime time, putting it into a non-prime time slot in the West, unless you're going to alternate and maybe do one Monday, the 5 and 8, the next Monday, like a 7 and 10, like do the late game like they do week 1. I think that would be a potential option, but I don't mind either way. I mean, I'm going to enjoy the second Monday night game. I'm also going to keep enjoying Thursday as long as it's there.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I think really the main reason this comes up is just because of the quality of the game that we've been seeing on Thursdays, and this was supposed to be a good one, So we kind of got robbed of that. So I don't necessarily mind having two in one day, but I like it more spread out personally. So even if you're not gonna do the Thursday one, make one like a Saturday or a Tuesday, just because then we still get that extra game on that extra day. You cut out some of the weight, because even the college games that they put on Thursdays and Fridays are pretty akin to the Thursday NFL games we get anyway.
Right.
So it's not like anyone's setting their DVR to watch Louisville versus, I don't know, BYU, something similar to that. Right. Yeah. So I did like, the kind of the change of pace and getting those two games. I liked the Tuesday game that we got the week before. That was fun. So shaking it up a little bit is fine, but I think they just need to do what they do on Sundays and have that option to flex, so we're not stuck with like Jags Bengals on Thursday night, or Dolphins Seahawks. Something that no one aside from fans of those teams or fantasy owners are really going to want to tune in for.
Sure, no doubt. All right, we're going to pause here for a quick commercial break, and stick with us on the other side. We'll, of course, have our NFL picks against the spread, talk a little bit about the upcoming NHL season, of course, in Major League Baseball. World Series gets underway tonight. Stick with us. Huddle Up Live.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop. Welcome back, Huddle Up Live. We are here with you. If you're following along on the live video, give us a like, give us a share. We'd appreciate that. Sean, Matt, and of course me, Jim, here back with you on a Tuesday night. We're glad you can join us wherever you are. It's World Series right now. Top four, no score between the Dodgers and the Rays. The Dodgers, the home team, in the neutral site game, of course, down there in Texas at it's a Globe Life Field, Globe Life Park. I know the old Rangers Stadium was renamed, one of them, for it was the XFL Stadium, so I forget which one. I think the new one there is Globe Life Field. But so we're going to jump in here, guys. We have four games, of course, in the NFL for this Sunday. Sean, against the spread on the year last week, I was 3-1 for an 11-8 overall. You were 3-1 for a 14-5 overall. So our college head-to-head's a little bit closer than the college ones are. The NFL being a little bit closer than the college are, and I'm above 500 in the NFL. So hey,
there's something.
That's something for me to hang my hat on.
And are you sure there's a baseball game tonight? I think I would have heard something down here. I think I would have known.
Pretty
sure there's a game. Yeah, it's real quiet down here. You wouldn't even know there's a game.
Well, I'm sure everybody's napping after the Stanley Cup COVID super spreader.
Yeah, I guess. No, Rays everywhere. Rays up.
God, I guess so. That's got to be fun, huh? Stanley Cup, possible World Series, Buccaneers 4-2.
The Buccaneers start going on a hot run. These radio stations I listen to are going to get downright unlistenable.
Well, and I mean the World Series with the frequency of games. I mean the World Series is over
Just
in a week.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be over in less than a week, probably.
Yeah. So, but you
like
know,
they play like right through till Saturday. It could be over by Saturday.
Yeah, like Joe Buck. I think like this. He had football. Then today, tomorrow, baseball, football Thursday, baseball Friday, Saturday, football again Sunday, and I think a World Series again on Monday. He has a game every day for like 10.
And even that much work couldn't shut him up.
Like talking that much, it wasn't enough.
You think it would make him talk less? No, it does not.
No, but just keeps it going. Let's start in the NFL on Sunday. The 3-3 Panthers. I can't even understand how that's a thing.
Wow.
Wow. At the 3-2, New Orleans Saints 7.5 point favorite at home. 51 is the number over under here. This one 1 o'clock on Fox. Just because I don't know how anything works anymore, I'm going to go with the Panthers. Not only to cover 7.5, I'm going to say they're going to win this football game. I'm going to go under though. I think to do it, you're going to have to control the clock with their run game. You're also going to have to keep what has been actually a fairly disappointing Saints offense. Can keep them grounded again. So I like the under here. Panthers and the under.
Yeah, I'm going to differ with you there. I think you're going to see a Saints team that has a chance to really try to take some control in the South. They got to keep pace with Tommy Touchdown down here in Tampa Bay, and I think and with Carolina. And I know of the past few weeks have been talking up Carolina, and I think that the way the teams have been playing, and obviously Tampa made a statement to make me rethink things a little bit, but. I think Carolina was kind of your favorite to win the South, and they still may be. But you're getting a Michael Thomas back in the game here, and the Saints defense is going to come ready to play. I think the Saints win and cover. I think they make kind of a statement here at home, and I think Drew Brees kind of silences a few critics. I think it's going to be a lot of stuff through the air. And don't get me wrong, Kamara will be involved primarily as a pass catcher. But I think this is one where a lot of your rushing yards are going to be Latavius Murray while you're resting the passing game. And they're going to try to get that rhythm going now that they have all the pieces back in play. I'm going to take the over because I think it's going to force Carolina to score some points. So I'm going to do the exact opposite of everything you just said.
Perfect. Matt, how about you?
Is this the game where they're back in the dome?
I think they're still in the dome. That's kind of been a confusing thing. Like they've been trying to get fans. They talked about maybe playing at LSU. I thought I saw something today that they're going to remain in the dome and maybe going to get some fans.
Well, I'm showing it in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Now, I don't know if that's just by default with the app that I'm using, but I would think that they're usually pretty good at updating that stuff.
All right, so yeah, let's plan on it being in the dome.
Okay, yeah, I know there was some just up in the air stuff about fans and everything for that game, but I didn't know if the Saints were again going to go to the Supreme Court like they did over their pass interference calls or whatnot. There's a fan base and a team that just thank you, appreciate that. That all being said, I do think the Saints are going to win big. I think they do need to come out and make a statement. Getting Michael Thomas back is huge for Drew. And I think that the Carolina Panthers have been a really fun story, a good feel-good story, but those usually kind of run their course around this time. So I'm going to take New Orleans covering the spread and going over just because I think they're going to put a ton of points.
All right, very good. And we go to the 5-0 Pittsburgh Steelers, 2.5 point road favorite at the 5-0 Tennessee Titans, who I still say, and Sean, you and I were talking about this on the phone on Sunday. I don't think this is a great undefeated team. Besides the drubbing of the Bills, they have 4 wins over not good teams by a grand total of like 13 points. So, but either way, 52 is the over under Sunday at 1 o'clock. on CBS. For me, I'm going Steelers. I'm going the over. Both these offenses seem to be clicking really well. I like that trend to continue. Steelers going to cover the spread. They're going to win outright and get to 6-0. I know they're 5-0 for the first time since like the early 70s. I don't know when the last time they were 6-0 was, but keep feeding Chase Claypool. All my friends that were Steelers fans, I remember on draft day, had texted me. I always know when like fans of it when a team drafts a Notre Dame player, because I get texts from friends of mine like, how good's this guy? And I'm like, he literally catches everything.
Which just goes to show you that despite being on national TV, everybody in the central Pennsylvania area refuses to watch him.
Exactly.
They're on national TV every week. Good opponents or not, every week. And somehow how's this guy?
Well, it's that stupidity bias that
Pennsylvania
residents were taught from the word go about our Irish.
How's this number one wide receiver from your team?
Well,
that went to the playoffs
and got drafted in the second round. Like,
he's pretty good.
But keep feeding him again. Steelers plus in the over.
Yeah, I'm on a different page than you on the Titans. I think the Titans are for real, and you can point out how poor those teams are they played, and Minnesota's hit or miss. Like, I feel you catch them on the wrong day, they're going to surprise you. I mean, they could have beat Seattle, should have beat Seattle probably, the way that they played in that game. And so Minnesota was a real good team. You got in the shootout with them. Jacksonville at times has flashed some brilliance offensively. So it's not a complete wash. It is a little bit concerning. There's one matchup in this game that's going to decide everything, and it's I've learned one thing from watching the Titans is that Derrick Henry can carry 22 men on his back.
Jeez, that guy
can do it. He's real good.
One Alabama running back that's actually good.
He is unbelievable. And every year I think I forget until he's galloping for 95 yards how fast he is. He's so big that you just assume he's like James Harrison running out of steam at the 10. And he never does. He just keeps that train moves.
He actually runs through the wall behind the end zone.
You can't stop the train.
He doesn't run up the tunnel. He just runs through the wall and then back through it somehow.
But to me, that's the test. That's the test. Is are you going to be able to establish a running game against Pittsburgh's defensive front? I think it can be done, especially when you have that kind of talent. And Tennessee has a great running game. And let's not forget, this is a team. You can say what you want about getting Corey Davis back. I understand he's who he is. But A.J. Brown's healthy. So that's something that they didn't have for a chunk of those games. And this is a team that almost made the Super Bowl last year, James. Almost. Were it not for my man Big Red. Congrats again. But I like the Titans' chances, but not this week. I'm going to take the Steelers with you. I went that whole rant thinking you were going to just have me go the other way. No, I think the Steelers are too hot right now, and they've shifted gears, and teams don't really know how to react to it yet. So I'm going to take the Steelers in that one. I'm going to take the over. I think a lot of points are going to be scored here because eventually the Titans are going to have to start throwing. Just hint, start A.J. Brown if you have him. I don't know why you wouldn't. But don't be afraid of the Steelers matchup. They're gonna let him catch balls, and that's my pick.
So I think we have a late edition of Dave.
Oh, for crying out loud!
Here into the show. Does he forget we're doing this on the Eastern time? Dave, do you know that?
Yeah, I'm moving a whole bunch of stuff here, getting ready for the move, and I just want to call in and congratulate Mr. Sean on his exciting news on Facebook. So I'm getting on his good side this week, but just had to call in and check in with you guys while I'm hauling shit.
I thought you were going to congratulate me on my 14-1 college football pick'em record against the spread. Thought that's what you were going to call for. But yeah, for those of you that aren't following me on Facebook, and why would you? It was officially announced this week. We've known for a while. Another edition, second baby, going to be coming in April. So that's pretty exciting. My little man Nick is now prepping to be a big brother. So that's pretty exciting.
Good man. So, Dave, are you actually going to do any picks, or did you literally jump on just to say that?
I could do either. I'm in the car for like 30 minutes driving back, so I can harass you guys for a little bit. More so Sean than anyone else, since I got my nice bit out of the way there, eh?
Since you got done kissing his ass. All right, so we'll stick with you. Steelers 2.5-point favorite at the Titans on Sunday with the 50. What did I say? 52. What do you got, Dave?
Yeah, we're gonna go with the Steelers. I think the Titans are a lot a bit overrated, just given the first couple of games that they have, and the Steelers D line should be able to contain Henry a little bit, which is a pretty massive task at hand, of course. But they should be able to contain him a little bit, and hopefully have enough on the offensive side of the ball to get it done. I'm going the under though, just because I heard Sean pick the over, so we're gonna go opposite of him and go under.
You can keep going whatever direction you want. Going opposite you has done very well for me so far this year. So,
and I forgot to hit any college football locks, but I will remember to hit if you have one of the games that's a lock here in the NFL, go ahead and hit it. No, I'll get. I was going to hit mine on this one. I'm not going to. Matt, Steelers and Titans.
Yeah, I think what we'll see here is. The Steelers' offense is really grooving right now. The defense is coming into its own. So I think that Tennessee's going to have to score a lot of points to keep up with them. And I think that's going to rely on Tannehill throwing, which is not something that the Tennessee offense ever really wants to see a ton of. If he's running, if Henry's running, then they're in good shape. But if they're putting it on the arm of Ryan Tannehill, Dolphins fans can attest to how well that works out for you, despite the talent that they have at receiver at Tennessee. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh to cover as well as the over.
I don't know, man. Tannehill, I was kind of in that boat too, but if you look at his numbers over his last like 8 starts or something, they're pretty gaudy numbers, even throwing the ball. So I think, because I was kind of in your boat, Matt, but time will tell if he can continue on that stretch, but we'll keep moving on here. We got the 4-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're a 3-point road favorite at the 3-2 Raiders. They had the bye last week after the big win over Kansas City. 53.5 is your over/under number on this one. This one is Sunday night on NBC 8:25. I'm gonna go with the Bucs here, both to keep Tom Brady's career alive and to keep Sean in the bag of misery down there in the Tampa area. I'm going to go Tampa to cover that 3 and win the game. And I'm going to go the over here as well. I think both offenses have been moving the ball pretty well, and they're going to keep it up.
This should be an exciting game. We do, that's my man Jake there. Jake Kuhn let us know a Bellinger 2-run homer here in the World Series. So we have a score. So maybe that'll quiet some people tomorrow if it holds. We'll see. Either way, in this game, I think it's a sneaky spot for the Raiders. I mean, this is a team that kind of surprised the Saints earlier this year. Took some people to say, hey, wait a minute. They're getting healthy. You got Ruggs back, and you had an extra week to prepare for this game. I'm not sure it's enough. You kind of get the fun play here. With it being kind of the Gruden Bowl, which is kind of exciting, and maybe because of that, I would want to lean to the Raiders, but I just can't do it in a primetime spot here. I gotta stick with Tom for another week. I think Tom's gonna continue what he started last week against Green Bay. After a dominant performance like that, it's real hard to bet against any team. To really come in and to take an undefeated team and slap them around like that. Was pretty impressive. They definitely got my attention. I'm going to take them. To cover pretty handedly, and I guess I'm going to go with the over. That's sitting at a spot right about where I'd put it. I'm not sure I like the over under here, but I'm going to take that over on that.
All right, good, Matt. Who do you got here? Bucs and Raiders.
it's kind of weird for me to see both of these teams doing as well as they are. I thought that both of them would kind of not be that great this year. So, look at Tommy reinvigorating himself down there in Tampa Bay. I'm sure that's fun for you, Sean, to hear all about that all the time. I'm so envious. That being said, I think that one of these teams is actually their record is better than their actual team, and that's the Raiders. They got a nice little win against Kansas City, and kudos to them. That's probably their Super Bowl for the year, and I think we're just going to see a letdown from here on out. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay, and I'm going to take the under. I don't think we see a ton of points on the board from either team, especially Tom's arm is probably still hurting from just slinging it around against Green Bay. He's probably got it on ice at this point.
Holy hell! Boy,
just to throw it out there, the Raiders' 3-2 mark is 3 wins against the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, and the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have a pretty substantial loss to the Patriots and a 1-score loss to the Bills. So it hasn't been like they've been getting blown out like years before. I'm not changing my pick because of it, but I do want to point out that they have done a few things that surprised me even more than they surprised Matt.
Just keep handing it to Josh Jacobs and throwing it to Waller, the tight end, and I'll be a happy guy. Dave, who do you got here? Bucks and Raiders.
Man, anytime I can bet against Tom Brady in a spot that makes sense, it's a golden thing to do. So we're gonna go with a letdown spot against Tampa Bay here, off the big win versus Green Bay. Definitely like the over here with a lot of points being scored. The thing that scares me is this Tampa Bay offense looks like it's finally starting to click here, which could bode some potential problems for the whole NFC there. But we're gonna go with the Gruden off the extra week of prep here for Thome and his crew. Not only do the Raiders cover here, but they win this game straight up, and you can lock that one up.
Hey, we got our first lock of the week.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Wow. There it is. Yeah, he hits the lock. How about it? I did not see that coming. Yeah, it's the Gruden Bowl, so that's always fun as well. And then finally, our last game for the week, the 5-1 Bears at the 4-2 Rams, who are a 6-point home favorite. 45.5 is the over/under on this one. Monday night, 8:15 on ESPN. This one for me is fairly easy. This is no disrespect to Nick Foles, all the bad will I had about him winning a Super Bowl in that city down the road is not there anymore. He's a Chicago Bear. It doesn't hurt me anymore. But this Bears team at 5-1 is not for real. They're going to find a way to they're going to crash back down to reality at some point. I'm taking the Rams. I'm taking the points. I'm going to go under because I don't think the Rams offense is that great, and the Bears are not going to score many points on this Rams defense. But Rams plus and the under, you can lock that up.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Yeah, it's ironic that we just spent so much time talking about whether the Tennessee Titans were an overrated, undefeated team, and now I'm staring at a 4-2 Rams team and a 5-1 Bears team. I don't think either of these teams are fair. The Rams keep surprising me. I'm still trying to figure out when Jared Goff's going to crash down to earth, and I think there's a good chance it's this week. I think it's kind of one of those surprise games because it does look so obvious. And with the Rams getting that kind of spread, first of all, I'm easily going to take the Bears to cover this. I think it's going to be close because I think the Rams aren't going to score a ton of points, not as many as we're used to seeing, despite that offensive guru and his trickery and tight end reverses and whatever else he decides to pull out this week. But reports are Nick Foles has that locker room turned around. People are believing. They're buying into the whole Super Bowl champion hype, and they're following the man where he'll take him. And I think the more he gets to settle in, I think he's going to impress. He's going to surprise me because we all know how everyone feels about Nick Foles, the backup, versus Nick Foles, the starter. And I think he's going to kind of quell some more critics here because his record as a starter isn't as bad as we seem to remember the really bad losses. He does have wins as a starter and a Pro Bowl under his credit as a starter. It was many, many years ago. But he's got a good defense on the other side of the ball. I think the Bears' defense is what's holding them in games. And that Bears team did beat that red-hot Tampa Bay team that everybody seems so high about not too many weeks ago. I'm going to take the Bears. I'm going to take the Bears to cover, and I'm going to take them to win the game. Another primetime spot for Nick Foles. Nick Foles lives for the primetime, and I think it's going to be an ugly win because that's the only way Chicago wins anything. And but he's going to do it. He's going to find himself in a spot, and he's going to need to make a play, and he's going to do it. And I'm going to take way under. I think it's going to be very few points. Go Nick Foles. Thanks for everything. Godspeed.
I don't think so, Tim.
Matt, go ahead.
I'm going to echo those sentiments. I think we're going to see Nick Foles do what Nick Foles does best. We're going to see classic BDN, just pulling it out, laying it on the table in prime time, where everyone's used to seeing him just thrive. I mean, we saw the beating he's put on a strong Minnesota Vikings team. We saw him take down Tom Brady for the second time in as many facings recently. So you can't just bet against this guy. So Bears cover, definitely under.
All right, Dave, what do you got?
So this is a interesting one, given that I believe the Rams are 4-2, and their 4 wins are against the NFC East. Outside of that division, I don't think they've won a game this year. And I could be wrong on that, but I saw it on Twitter, so it has to be true.
100%.
So, I mean, you go with that, and why does Vegas have the Rams favored? Because it's no secret. So it's one of those interesting, what does Vegas know that no one else does? And, I mean, you got to believe that there's a little bit more talent on the Rams. But the key to beating the Rams, as everyone knows, is to pressure Goff, because anytime you get in his face, he turns into like a stone hand guy trying to throw a freaking ball that doesn't work so well, kind of like Drew Brees this year. But you get into some of these spots, and it's a good spot for the Rams coming off the win that Chicago just had over Tampa Bay. But some of that too is also implicated by the extra prep and everything that McVay can get here and to twirl up some offensive plays. So I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take them by over a touchdown for no good reason at all, other than it just sounds interesting. And we're going to take the over because it doesn't make sense, and this whole game doesn't make sense.
Yeah, for the record, Rams wins 20-17 over Dallas, 37-19 over Philly, 17-9 over the Giants, and 30-10 over the football team in Washington.
Yeah.
So it's literally 4 wins against the NFC East.
Against the absolute, possibly worst.
Against 4 teams that combined for what? 3 wins?
Yeah.
4?
4.
And that's because they played each other in 3 of them.
Yeah, we get those
somebody
great
had to win.
NFC. Well, not necessarily. You guys know about that.
We have a tie.
But we get those great NFC East matchups again this upcoming weekend with Eagles and the Giants on Thursday night, and Cowboys and the Washington football team. I saw a great tweet earlier today. It said on Sunday you have the WFT versus WTF. So that's pretty much where we're at this point. Cowboys are down to their 3rd string left tackle. No starters on their offensive line. Defense banged up. I mean, it's just a comic, a comedy of tragedy, I guess, is what the Cowboys and Eagles both have at this point. But
and before we leave the NFL, I want a chance to plug my semi-new segment. It's always going to be very quick. We'll try to make it a little bit bigger. Thing I've always wanted to kind of get going, and I used to do it with my friends. It's called the Fantasy Irrelevant Touchdown of the Week. And in case you weren't following all the games on Sunday, I'm going to run by you a few of the fantasy irrelevant touchdowns. Now, keep in mind, some pretty no-name wide receivers caught some, but if they were catching it from a Pat Mahomes or if they were catching it from a Lamar Jackson, that keeps it somewhat fantasy relevant. Going to be real hard to win when they're throwing it. However, we did have a Nick Foles to Cole Kmet touchdown as a finalist. Cole Kmet getting a touchdown there. Yeah. Cole Kmet, the tight end. Any tight end touchdowns.
I mean, we know who he is.
We know who he is. We did have his touchdown. Slightly better than that was Kyle Allen to Cam Sims for the football team in Washington. That was up there. We did have a Snell sighting in Pittsburgh. That was close. Darrell Williams, the backup in KC, had a shot. And I almost argue that Kenyon Drake scoring twice is fantasy irrelevant because so many people have put him on the bench. However, if you want the fantasy irrelevant touchdown of the week, you're going to have to go no farther than the City of Brotherly Love, where the top two finalists both happen. And you would think that a Jason Kroom, the fourth tight end, catching a ball from Carson Wentz would be the fantasy irrelevant touchdown of the week. But you were wrong because Miles Sanders decided to flop a ball to the end zone. And who fell on it? J.C. Arcega-Whiteside is your fantasy irrelevant touchdown of the week. Also scored more touchdowns than DK Metcalf this week, partially because he wasn't playing. So there you go. There's your fantasy irrelevant touchdown of the week.
All right, let's shift here. We will get to Major League Baseball, but saw a hockey story pop up. The Vegas Golden Knights president, Bill Foley, was a guest on Las Vegas KSHP radio last Wednesday. He revealed a few things on the show. Foley said that the NHL is likely going to have a Canadian division this upcoming year, saying, I don't think the border is going to be open before January 1st. Canada's got spikes going on. They're going to lock down again. Winnipeg's locking down. Quebec has spikes going down. I think they're going to play a Canadian division. I don't think they're going to cross the border. Canadian division would mean that there would be 7 teams: the Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, Toronto Maple Leafs, Vancouver Canucks, and Winnipeg Jets would play each other. Montreal Gazette's Pat Hickey had also reported that as a possibility back in September. Hickey also hypothesized that the league could realign divisions for this upcoming year to adjust to the all Canadian division. He crafted up 3 other divisions as well. Division 1 being the Bruins, Sabres, Devils, Islanders, Rangers, Flyers, Penguins, and Capitals. The second division being the Hurricanes, Blackhawks, Blue Jackets, Red Wings, Panthers, Predators, Blues, and Lightning. And then the third division would be the Anaheim Ducks, Arizona Coyotes, Avalanche, Stars, Kings, Wild, Sharks, and the Golden Knights. During the interview, Bill Foley also revealed he believes the season would start on February 1st, a month later than the NHL's current announced target date of January 1st. And that's the thing, like not only with the NHL, of course, the NBA, these sports that have not started back up, have not announced any plans on exactly when they will start. The NHL, like I said, targeting January 1st, but that date is a moving target. I've seen some hypotheses that the NHL season, although Commissioner Gary Bettman said they want to play a full 82 games, could be reduced to somewhere around the mid-60s, mid-50s, or even high 40 games before a Stanley Cup playoffs. Because ultimately the goal after this upcoming season for like the NHL and the NBA is to start the 2021-2022 season as close to normal as possible, as hopefully, dear God, life begins to resemble something that looks like what we remember normal to be. But I thought this was really interesting, to see, because that was the big tipping point in the NHL restart. Was for the playoffs this year was getting it to a place where teams could be, and I don't think you're going to be able to see people crossing borders by any frequency. So you could see a situation where this Canadian division plays each other, and then depending what the situations are, maybe a bubble for the playoffs next season as well. But the realigned division, for me, whatever it takes. I mean, honestly, at this point, to get an NHL product on the ice, I'm all for it. The bubble situations they had. I get you're not going to be able to do that for a full season, but whatever it takes to get it on the ice and get a season full 82 games or not, I'm all here for it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of hypotheticals. It's a lot to.
We did have a home run here. We did have a home run here in the World Series. So a Chimera home run. So the Rays are now down only 2-1, and Kershaw just passed Smoltz for the most postseason strikeouts. Jake doesn't seem too upset by that.
No, I mean, he's a big Rays supporter down here, though. He's bought in, and why not? I mean, I have no problem if they want to win. I don't know. It's just going to get real old as Tom starts winning games, I think. Other than that, I mean, if it's going to happen, why not happen a few blocks from me, I guess. I mean, the Rays, with that payroll difference, everybody loves an underdog. So Jake giving us that, also pointing out that the free taco, in effect, we had our stolen base. So steal a base, steal a taco.
Is that tomorrow? When do you get the free taco? Is it tomorrow?
They'll announce it. All the stipulations said they'll announce the date. All you got to do is be there by 11:59 p.m. on that date. I'd imagine. So we got time. We got all the time in the world to wait for that Locos taco. But hockey wise, I think like you said, anything to get it going. I don't know. I don't know what the scenarios all really play out. It's all very confusing. I think an all Canadian kind of division and kind of trying to play around the border seems a little strange to me. I'd like to see, and maybe it'd be a scenario where if you split up the divisions like that, maybe you could do a shortened season, and like this year where they did kind of like a play-in round. Maybe you could expand and maybe do a partial kind of round-robin season in a bubble, that kind of thing. Take a quick breather, get everybody into a bubble, maybe make it more than the 16 teams, maybe even stretch it to 24, eliminate a part of it. I don't know how you want to do it, but if you can get it back into a bubble, it's asking these players a lot, though, less than a year later to get back into a bubble. A lot of these guys, came out to families and kids, and I'm not gonna lie to you, if I was sitting pretty low in that rankings and my team, I wasn't so sure we had a shot at that Stanley Cup in my mind, I'd consider opting out like some players did. So it's going to get real interesting because obviously nothing's going away, at least not from what I can see. And, I'm just hoping they can find a solution and something that works and it goes as well as it did last time.
Sure, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, the bubble is certainly out of the window next time around if they want to do a full season. So, it comes down to what do these teams have to play for. And if they don't, then I certainly do see them, kind of opting out. I don't necessarily like the division the Flyers are in, but it kind of is what it is when it comes down to that. And so it would be nice. It'd be interesting to see because, about the time they're projecting is right about when football will be ending. So it's kind of a good grace period for sports fans if we're able to just jump right back into another sport. But cautiously optimistic, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of been the the kind of safe play all around as we've gone through all of this, and obviously the world situation is going to dictate whether things return, when they return, how they return. So the best advice for fans is just be smart and do the smart things you got to do to help the situation. And then, of course, finally, guys, the World Series underway tonight. Starting the bottom of the fifth here, 2-1 Dodgers, who are the home team in the series.
Did the National League win the All-Star game this year?
I like that. Classic. One of the dumbest, just the absolute dumbest ways to determine home field in a. But I'm glad they did away with that anyway, even before all the shenanigans that have been 2020. But yeah, Rays and Dodgers. I think for me, I was just most happy that the Astros, much like most baseball fans, the Astros didn't make it to the World Series.
More so happy the Braves didn't make it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a dog in the fight either way in that one. But Not really a big Braves fan myself either. But you know, my big thing was you know, and the Astros kept going and kept going. And I'm like, come on, are you like seriously the team that shouldn't even be in the postseason is marching towards the World Series? But you know, they ended up not making it. So you know, for me, I being an AL East fan of the Orioles, I guess I'm kind of pulling for the Dodgers, but like I have no reason to hate the Rays. You know, it's not like the Yankees or Red Sox or even Blue Jays, really.
Well, Jim, if you're an AL East fan, you're a fan of all of AL.
Well, that is true. As a friend of ours, well, not a friend of ours, but somebody we know, an acquaintance at best, that we know likes to play that card. That because what he's a Braves fan, but an AL East fan. He's a
Big Ten fan.
He's a Big Ten fan, but he's an Ohio State and a Penn State fan. He's like one of those guys that just kind of latches on wherever. So by that, he's a shitty sports fan. Is what. And yeah, I'm with Jake Boo this. But yeah, you know, for me, I guess I'm pulling for the Dodgers, but I'm just going to enjoy watching some of the games and closing out the baseball season here.
Yeah, you got me coming into the playoffs, picking the Rays early to make the World Series. Didn't pick them to win the World Series, and I'm still not going to. I have no problem with the Rays winning. I mean, the fact that a team with the payroll they have and playing baseball the right way, they've won games with solid pitching, great defense. You know, at times where they've needed the bats, they've arrived. And it's been kind of a fun little run for him. You know, I love Guillen as the manager, running the show there. He's a Tampa guy. You know, grew up down here, went to school down here. You know, at that time there was no team here, so for him to wind up in a managerial role in his hometown is pretty rad. But I see the Dodgers who found a way to fall behind to the Braves early and to make that push to come back and, you know, take that in the fashion they did with the not quite walk-off homer, but close. If they can catch some momentum here early, I don't think it's going to be a very long series. Unfortunately, eventually it comes down to that. That's true. Cash, the head coach, also from Tampa as well. So it's a pretty cool system they have down here, and it's got to be one of the best front offices in baseball to be able to draft the way they do and to with as little money as they have do it. I think that there comes a point where that money helps a lot. And unfortunately, in these championship scenarios, I think we're going to see one of the scenarios where the Dodgers finally get their hardware again.
The Rays almost kind of remind me of the KC Royals that year. Like they just, you know, and that was the year where the Orioles made it to the ALCS, and I was like, is this actually going to be a thing? And then the Royals just smoked them, small balled them, and outpitched the hell out of them. And you know, that's kind of what the Rays have done. They kind of remind me of that Royals team, because really, I mean, if we're being honest, that year the Orioles and Royals were the teams in the championship series. Neither of them belonged there, and now
that was just Major League Baseball is watching that ALCS going, what the hell happened? Like, how did we give all these teams the players that we gave them, and this is what we get?
What is that?
What is
that?
like that was just, they're going like, what? Like, how did we?
What the hell is even that?
They had no clue. They had no clue how it got to that point.
This one wasn't quite that bad, but the two really great championship series to lead up to the World Series. That was exciting.
No doubt. Matt, your thoughts on the World Series here?
Yeah, I mean, I was half right in my prediction. I think I said A's Dodgers because, like an idiot, I thought the A's would finally get over the hump. But hey, the Dodgers have like a nice early '90s Buffalo Bills thing going.
Don't feel bad. I had the Cubbies, so
that's true. I think in our preseason thing, I think Sean, you and I both had the Phillies going pretty far. So
yeah, we did.
Really good call on that.
Spadudios.
So the third time in 4 years that the Dodgers are in the series, I think it's bound to finally click. I hope it does, and I am pulling for the Rays just because, I like the small market team. And while Tampa Bay has their annoying title town, so will LA with the Lakers just winning. So
That's true.
Either way, we're just kind of screwed on that.
Theirs will be more annoying.
Right. So I'm going with the less annoying one with the Rays. Hopefully, just want to see a good series here, but I think it'll be over by like Tuesday. What would have been fun is if they just did like double headers, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then if there's a game 7 on
Just
Friday.
done. Yeah, just done. Get it over with.
Well, like back in the day, if you ever watch like the old home run derbies and World Series on like ESPN Classic, they were like afternoon games. It was like middle of the week. It was like Tuesday afternoon, like World Series games. And I think they did a couple of or like at least one afternoon game when the Cubs made the World Series. Like it was just cool to see. It was like a neat throwback. But yeah, Tampa. I don't feel like Tampa will get real annoying with their title town until if the Buccaneers with Brady, like then that like annoying swagger will probably come out. But yeah, LA could get pretty bad.
Don't forget the Rams are 4-2 as well, so they also have that ability to.
And like the Chargers, and I'm not saying the Chargers have a shot of really going deep, but like since they made that quarterback change, that offense is playing in a whole different way than we expected them to, and the defense isn't too shabby either. Like, could you imagine the hellfire from the sports world if the Dodgers win the World Series, Lakers win the NBA title, and then the Chargers and Rams somehow both go deep into the playoffs? Like it could get real annoying for sports fans.
Well, the good news is the Kings aren't gonna. That's the good news.
Yes. The Kings will always, except for those couple of years, like where they won 2 Stanley Cups in 3 years.
I was gonna say if they can find a couple former Flyers, maybe they'll put something together.
Yeah, no doubt. Anything else, guys? Otherwise, we're gonna close this thing up.
No, I don't have a lot more. I was gonna make the official baby announcement on here too, but once again, Dave screwed that up. So we had to announce that a bit early. But I'm just kidding. I love Dave as much as anybody else, primarily because he tells me which way to pick, and so far it's working pretty well. Either way, we got the big announcement. If you're on the screen there, we're gonna get it up there. If you're on the video feed, we got the guy with the announcement there. Real happy to be the big brother. If you don't have the TV, it was an adorable picture of my little man wearing a shirt that said "Big Bro." Otherwise, I'll keep watching Titletown down here in Tampa Bay, and we'll keep chatting with you on Tuesdays about how annoying it is. You guys have a good week.
All right, Matt, anything else?
Not really. I mean, this time around, I have the wrestling stuff in the background. You can check me out on 3 Count Thursday. Familiar face on there that you can watch. Next time around, it's just because my 2 walls, I have wrestling, and then I have sports. The sports wall's going under some construction here. Got a Brandon Graham 16x20 to put up. Got an Alshon Jeffrey 16x20. And while we were doing the show, purchased a Joel Embiid 16x20. So doing some rearranging on this wall, so you're stuck with the wrestling wall until next time.
Very good. All right, you can follow me, of course, at Big Jim Sports. Make sure you're following along the show, and you're subscribed to us on all of our social media channels, all of our podcast feeds, both the full show and the Red Zone podcast as well, where we post our best clips of the week. Until next week, make sure you stick with us and stay safe, stay smart, and go for the win. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order